Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Today's focus is on employment. A recent poll showed that unemployment and job creation is one of the top issues for Americans. My guests this morning are here to tell us about job opportunities being offered here in the city and how they work together to help make a difference with the Employment Coalition. I'm being joined by Holly McCoy, who is the Silver Spring Coordinator for Milwaukee Achiever Literary Services, and Miss Keisha Russell, who is the Resident Employment Coordinator with the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And coming up on Wednesday, April 23rd, you've got the second annual Move Beyond Poverty Through Employment Job Fair that's happening at the Milwaukee Housing Authority from 9 until noon. And this is like news to a lot of people's ears when they hear there's a job fair and a number of jobs that are being offered. So I'm really excited to have you here to talk about it. Keisha, could you tell us more about the Employment Coalition and some of your goals?
Sure. The Employment Coalition started in 2012. We started to bring our community partners together to work to employ the community. We wanted to some of our goals are just to get individuals employed, teach them about employment skills, what the employers are looking for. So our top goal is to find those individuals employment, but we do that with working with our community partners.
Okay, and so with that said, Milwaukee's poverty rate is in the top 15 among the nation's big cities with populations over 250,000. And most of the issues that we discuss on this show basically span from poverty, a lack of education, and high crime. So you have certain things that happen that turn into an ugly cycle that lead to other things. And so obviously jobs are what can help change the scope of some of the problems that we deal with in our city. So you mentioned the coalition, and there are a number of organizations that make up this coalition. So if we could, let's name some of those.
So that would be the Department of Workforce Development, the Housing Authority, Guest House, Milwaukee Achiever Literacy Services, and
Wisconsin Community Services.
Okay, and another one's coming to mind. Is it Parsons?
The Parsons House.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Okay. I remembered reading that. So, okay, so that's a nice coalition of organizations that offer a lot of different programs and services to help individuals. So when you guys come together, what is it that you discuss in being able to help your clients?
When we come together, what we generally discuss is we want to put on job fairs, we want to put on pre-employment workshops, we want to put on resource fairs. We want to decide on what Milwaukee doesn't have. And we think about the issues that are facing the consumers and the people that we serve, and we want to eliminate those barriers. So like WCS works with ex-offenders, and then you have Infallible Helping Hands who works with ex-offenders, and then you also have the Housing Authority as well as the Guest House who at the homeless shelter. So we try to think about the barriers that our clients go through every day and try to eliminate those barriers. So that's what we talk about, and that's why we come together to eliminate the barriers that are.
And I love that, because you're identifying the problems that are there, and then you're finding solutions to help people. Because if you continue to just kind of go through and say, okay, we're having a job fair, but if people don't have the skills that they need and they don't understand what it is they need to do to get a job or hold down a job, then it's a waste of everyone's time. So you're teaching them all the things that they need to know in order to maintain employment and therefore move forward in their everyday lives.
Right.
I love that. So Holly, I think this is a good time for us to kind of break down what each of your organizations offer. You've been here before to talk about the Milwaukee Achiever Literacy Services, and so for those people who don't know, kind of give them an idea of what it is that you do there.
Okay, so Milwaukee Achiever, we do adult literacy and workforce development instruction, and we focus primarily on adults who are lacking literacy skills. On average, we see most of our adults reading between a 3rd to 5th grade level. So when we're talking about employment specifically, one of our goals is to get people in and get them the skills that they need so that they can obtain and then retain employment. Additionally, we help people earn their GED. We help individuals coming from many different countries. We have over 80 different countries that we serve, and so help them learn English. We do computer literacy. We also have the warehouse worker program.
Okay, and I'm interested in the warehouse worker training program. What exactly does that entail?
So with that, what we do is we worked with a outside contracting site. It's called Complete Safety Concepts, and she came in and she created a curriculum that really is made for our learners, which is great. So it builds everything up, and it's all the different skills that one would need to work in kind of the manufacturing industry.
Okay.
In addition to that, we also do hands-on forklift training. So we take people on site, we show them how to use the actual forklift, and then upon completing the class, they not only are completing the class as the training program, but they also receive their forklift license, which they can then take to multiple employers. And even though they'll have to recertify at that employer again, it's something that they can say, I have this skill, and it's really transferable to a number of jobs within the city.
Okay, so there's somebody that just sat up in bed and said, okay, I need to know more about that. So is there a cost associated with any of the programs that you've mentioned?
We do have costs associated with them. Those are things that we kind of deal with on an individual basis, though. So I like to just kind of bring people in, we talk about it, and then we figure out different ways of funding that. We do have some scholarships attached to those things as well. And then there's some additional funding that we pull in for those particular programs.
So in other words, don't let what's in your pocket stop you from coming to take advantage of the programs that you have. So what is your website address and a phone number where people can get more information?
Sure. So our web address is www.milwaukeeachiever, all spelled out, and that is singular. It's not achievers, it's achiever.org. And my phone number for the warehouse worker program, we're actually getting ready to start that again in May, is 414-308-1102.
Okay, and we'll put that website address right there on the screen so everybody can check out MilwaukeeAchiever.org. And again, the job fair is coming up April 23rd. It's going to be held at the Milwaukee Housing Authority. The address there, Keisha, is?
It's 650 West Reservoir, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53212.
650 North Reservoir. And so let's take a moment to talk about some of the programs and services that are offered on a daily basis through the Housing Authority, because people automatically think housing and that's it. But you actually go a little bit further and beyond and offering services to individuals, such as daycare in some of your development. So tell us about those.
Yes, we do. We have the core, of course, the core is housing, but we also have, we do have different entities where we have daycares available for your children. We also have some of the other programs is the FSS program to make families self-sufficient. And one of those programs a lot of people don't know about is they take, as far as the people who live in the housing authority, they will take funds, and when you get employment, raise your rent and take that rent and put that money aside. The funds that you pay for your rent, we put it aside in a FSS account for you. And so at the end of a period of time, if you meet these goals, you can end up with like maybe $30,000 in about 5 years. You can buy your house. So the purpose of the Housing Authority is to really make people self-sufficient. So we try to work with them on employment. We work on, have things to put your, children. We work with the youth. We have a lot of different various programs. But the focus is to make them self-sufficient.
Yes, and I was looking at your website, and you also have the senior meal program, and within certain housing developments, there are facilities that are specifically there for not just the kids that live there, but for the whole entire neighborhood to take advantage of. So just so many outstanding things that there is to let people be aware of. And you also help public housing residents in transitioning from welfare to work. How do you go about doing that?
Well, generally they have to be connected to the resident employment coordinator, which is me, myself, or Evans Gant, and we just work to get them self-sufficient. We work with all community partners, and we help them try to make a smooth transition by giving them anything that doing supportive services. So if it's daycare, or if it's trying to learn how to get to and from work, how to get up early, things of that nature. So we just try to give them, it's dependent on the need of that person.
And so your website address would be?
www.hacm.org.
Okay, and a phone number where people can call to find out more information about any of the things that you just mentioned?
Sure. Phone number is 414-286-3949.
Okay, and the Employment Coalition, obviously we have established that you guys work together to find ways to employ your clients who specifically have difficulty retaining and obtaining employment. So what are some of the things that you discuss within the organization that you would say are barriers for individuals who are trying to get a job?
Transportation is a huge barrier. What we see is that a lot of the jobs where we can find people self-sustaining employment are out, very far away where the bus line doesn't run or those kind of things. Additionally, children, childcare, proper childcare for their children. And then from my end, it is a lot of lower literacy and some of those lacking in math skills or reading skills and just the ability to kind of comprehend information that's given on the job.
And in this day and age, I know that, we've got the digital world, and a lot of people are not comfortable if they've never had to be on a computer and send emails and things of that nature, then it's a discomfort for them. But you do have programs that can get them prepared, so when they do have a job that requires that, they can have some familiarity with that whole concept, right?
Absolutely. We have classes at our center. And we also, at all of the organizations mentioned, do that to a certain extent on an individual basis as well. But definitely with technology and with texting, a lot of times too, what we have to go over is just like etiquette within an email as well. So how would you properly word that?
And spelling's always really important.
And not using the letter U instead of Y-O-U. Just simple things like that where sometimes people don't really think it's a big deal, but you just want to make sure that they're being appropriate and professional.
Absolutely. And what are some of the barriers that you've found?
A lot of barriers that I see are former offenders having a record. So we work with Clean Slate Milwaukee to expunge individuals' criminal records, or you can look up on CCAP and see everybody every time you've been arrested, and we work to eliminate those and erase those. And some people who have been incarcerated for some period of time, they don't know how to use technology. They don't know how to present themselves in a professional manner, or even face the question, where have you been for the last 2 or 3 years? So some of those are a lot of the barriers that I see.
Yeah, and we've talked about that so many times. We just had the mayor on, and that's what he was talking about, the fact that individuals who have spent some time, he just came up with this scenario where people can apply for jobs and fill in the potholes, but then they're getting some training that could possibly prepare them for construction jobs. And those are the type of things that individuals need. I've always said that everybody deserves a second chance, and when people are coming out of being incarcerated, not only are they facing the things that you said, they are also facing the stereotype that, oh, you're a criminal and we can't have you work here. And it's just not really fair. So you are helping individuals be able to not be intimidated by their past and move forward and live the life that everybody dreams of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody deserves to live that American dream. There's no doubt about that. And quickly, I just wanted to go over the do's and don'ts, because we were talking off air, and you were saying that you can go through all the programs, but there are some things that individuals need to remember in order to come off professional and convince an employer that they would be a great employee. So let's dive right in.
Okay. So Keisha and I can bounce back and forth because I tend to forget things, and we fill in that regard. But definitely with a job fair, I think one of the most common things that we see is people will come as a group, right? Which isn't necessarily wrong. But when they get there, it's, they're all like talking. They're like, hey, how have you been? They'll run into someone they know. And while that may be okay if you're running into someone at the grocery store or the park, at the job fair, it's really important to just represent yourself. So when you're talking to other people, it can come off to an employer that you're not really engaged and focused on what they're there for, which is to give you a job.
Right.
And so that's one thing that we see quite often.
Pajamas. Do not wear pajamas to a job fair. What you have to understand, you're trying to present yourself in a professional manner, and when you come to the job fair with pajamas or hats on or rags on your head, it makes an employer, you have to think like an employer. Would I want this person to represent me? No, I wouldn't. So do not wear pajamas, hats, or rags on your head.
And it kind of seems like common sense probably to some people, but I think that probably it sounds like to me what maybe some people are thinking is that I'm just going here to see what jobs are available, but this is almost like a job fair is almost like an interview because first impressions are everything. So people need to know how to dress. So we've already established that, the things that you mentioned, but you have people who really have to know the difference between like maybe clothes that you would wear to work versus a club. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right, and that's something that we talk about all the time too. And that's absolutely true. When people come, they really are, they're thinking, oh, I'm just browsing what's open. And whereas the employer is saying, I'm trying to hire you. And so we talk about even from the minute you park your car or walk from your house, you should be, anyone you're interacting with, you should be smiling, you should be cordial, because you do not know if that is going to be the person inside that will already have an impression of who you are. Absolutely. Cell phones should be turned off in the job. You should not be texting, you should not be on your cell phone. We see that often. And then in addition to the club wear comment, young ladies with their skirts, they should be maybe just right above the knee if you're gonna rock one.
Just ask yourself, would I wear this to church? If you say no, then it's not right for the job interview.
Yes,
right?
and slits.
Yeah.
And that's what we see too, is a lot of slits that maybe go up a little bit too high for what you would wear to a job.
Well, those are certainly some things to keep in mind. People should also remember just to get rid of the gum and shake hands. Don't have that limp handshake. Don't be intimidated, and ask for their business card and follow up. I met you at a job fair. I gave you a resume. And another thing that I think people probably have a tendency to do is just lay their resume down and keep walking. You need to introduce yourself, talk, have a conversation, and make yourself marketable. That's pretty much what you're trying to do.
And you should make people, the employer, remember you.
Absolutely.
In a good way.
That's it, in a good way. And then as we wrap up, I just wanted to make sure there's nothing else that you guys wanted to relay over to our viewers this morning.
When you're looking for a job, definitely the resume is an important piece, but it really is selling yourself. I mean, you need to look at yourself as, I'm marketing who I am, and so that confidence really shows through. It's the law of attraction, right? So if you're saying, I'm going in to get a job, and you're confident and you got it, you got it.
That's right.
You absolutely have it.
You got it. Thank you so much.
And we will be having interviews at the job fair, so those employers will be interviewing people.
Dress to impress, bring plenty of resumes. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Holly McCoy is the Silver Spring Coordinator for Milwaukee Achiever Literary Services, and Keisha Russell, she's the Resident Employment Coordinator for the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee. Again, the second annual Move Beyond Poverty Through Employment Job Fair. It's going to be held on Wednesday, April 23rd from 9 a.m. till noon at the Milwaukee Housing Authority. That's at 650 North Reservoir. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we're going to meet another representative from an organization that's a part of the Employment Coalition. We'll find out more about the Guest House of Milwaukee right after this.